What's going on, Jerome's? Beautiful Tuesday. Birds are chirping and stuff, and it's time for another Vikings news. Actually, there are no birds chirping because in the great state of Minnesota, it's like negative 50 degrees. Like the kids' schools were canceled today because of cold. Soft generation that don't know how to wear a coat. Anyways, no, it's really freaking cold. It's terrible out because, every single time when it gets cold and miserable here in the state of Minnesota, or I look at my property taxes, I'm just like, why do we live here? And then look at housing prices elsewhere, and they're like, oh, okay, we get it. Anyways, but happy Tuesday. He sees you when you're pooping. Eye contact right here. Plop. Also, the annual sinus infection is clearing up. We're going to be good to go. I know that people are concerned. Also, it's weird. I usually get like one sinus infection that lasts about 3-4 days a year. And it'd be such a shame if the Vikings are in the playoffs right now. Yeah. Anyways, the big news in the NFL yesterday is Ben Johnson decided after 2 years of being courted, he's being hailed as the next Bill Walsh. He's the guy who invented the forward pass. He's Teddy Roosevelt. He's Newt Rockne. He's all that stuff. Ben Johnson is now the head coach of the crooked Chicago Bears, right? So Caleb Williams gets a head coach. This is such a weird... This is such a weird matchup for so many reasons. Number one, all right, so Ben Johnson has been sought after to be a head coach for years now, right? He was going to be the Commies head coach last year, except he's like, I don't like ownership because they're basketball people. Ben Johnson could have been coaching Jaden Daniels right now for the next 10 to 15 years. It would have been great, right? But Ben Johnson, so ownership was important. He literally went to the team with the worst ownership in the league. He's in a very competitive division. All right, but by the way, all these high hopes for Ben Johnson, Kevin O'Connell, winning 2/3 of his regular season games first 3 years. Ben Johnson hopes and prays that he can win 2/3 of his games, like Kevin O'Connell. Like, I don't think that Ben Johnson could carry Kevin O'Connell's sizable jock. It happens, man. But also, he doesn't get to pick his own GM. Like Ryan Poles is the lamest of lame ducks, unless they extend him. And Ryan Poles is a terrible GM. But other than that, you got that going for him, right? And also, Caleb Williams, I think that he can be a supreme talent. But I don't know if Ben Johnson can conform his offense to Caleb Williams. Because I actually think that Jared Goff is a perfect quarterback for Ben Johnson's offense. You do as I say, and this is what you do, and blah, 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 blah. You do not deviate from the offense at all. Because I'm this genius mastermind. Actually, like Kirk Cousins would have been a great quarterback for Ben Johnson too. But Caleb Williams, so Ben Johnson, he wants a quarterback who will just follow sheet music. Dun, 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 dun. That's Jared Goff. Caleb Williams is jazz, man. Like so many of Caleb Williams' great plays, like back at USC, were him breaking pocket, making things happen off script. Just like F it, Jordan Addison's down there somewhere. Oh, I won the Heisman because of Jordan Addison, right? That's what Caleb Williams is. I don't know if functionally this is going to work out, but it's okay. I mean, I'm shocked. Also, now Ben Johnson, who supposedly has this great relationship with Dan Campbell, now he has to face his mentor twice a year until Dan Campbell gets fired because he lost all his good coordinators. Okay. But whatever. I mean, it's definitely going to be Bears down. We'll see. Also, of note, we're going to see this twice a year in all likelihood because now that Johnson has taken the Bears job, that takes one of the three gigs that Brian Flores has interviewed for or will interview for off the table. And also with the Jaguars, Schefter, Jacksonville's head coach search. Jaguars are bringing in former Raiders DC Patrick Graham, former Jets head coach Robert Saleh, and Bucs OC Liam Cohen this week for in-person second interviews. So Flores doesn't make the final list in Jacksonville. Outside shot of getting the Jets job, but not likely. So it is probably going to be Brian Flores back for year 3. Now, here's what I want. Kevin O'Connell gets extended. Brian Flores gets his pay bumped up as the highest paid coordinator in the NFL. And then go from there. Yeah. And speaking of coaches' salaries, Pro Football Talk, Florio, actually reporting news as opposed to just being emo about the Vikings. So this is the guesstimate right now of coaches' salaries because it's not published. They don't have a union. Blah blah blah. So Andy Reid at the top of $20 million. Oh, so that's where all the Chiefs locker room renovation money goes. Andy Reid, the Walrus, cuckoo, ka-choo. Hey, you would think that winning 3 out of 5 Super Bowls, including 2 in a row and maybe 3 in a row this year, that you could actually upgrade your facilities. It's wrong. Hunt family taking all that money back down to Dallas from Kansas City. Reinvest. Come on. Stupid ass Sean Payton with the Broncos, $18 million. Okay. Well, at least he's got that Walmart money. Roll back that stupid offense. Tomlin, Harbaugh up there. Yes. McVay's probably underpaid. Shanahan's probably underpaid too. Jumping John Harbaugh, can't do anything in the playoffs, but $12 million underpaid. Campbell on his extension, $11 million. Okay. Somehow Mike McDonald got $9 million. So Kevin O'Connell, obviously below that, probably looking for 14, 15, somewhere in there. So we'll see what happens. But it's so again, coaches' salaries are so weird in terms of their impact on the team versus player salaries. Now, obviously, the players are the players, but Andy Reid is getting paid half of what the Giants paid Daniel Jones per year. Half. Who makes a larger impact, Andy Reid or Daniel Jones? It's so crazy, isn't it? Yeah. But either way, Kevin Collins is going to be all up in there. Also, so this is important too. So when you talk about age in rookies, now there's going to be a much wider scale now because the NCAA is basically you can have as much eligibility as you want. You had that University of Miami tight end who's on 9th year of eligibility. He was in the same recruiting class as Trevor Lawrence, which is kind of funny. But now with the Rona year as well as basically unlimited eligibility, age does matter because a player with experience coming in from college, if they come in as a true junior versus if they come in as a redshirt senior, that does matter. And also physical peak in terms of football, potentially usually around age 25, 26. So you can have a run up to that age as well as how old the player is going to be when they get to her second, third contract. All that factors in. Long story longer, it was J.J. McCarthy's 22nd birthday yesterday on Monday. And now Calusi Athletic notes that he is 2 years younger than Jane Daniels. That's true. He's basically 3 years younger than Michael Penix Jr. and Bo Nix as well. And that was a factor in the draft process too. Plus, we talked about Verse and Turner all the time, right? Because yes, the Vikings traded up for Diamond Dallas Turner and drafted him ahead of Jared Verse, who went to the Rams. And no disrespect for Jared Verse. He came in and hit the ground running. But he should because he's basically 3 years older than Dallas Turner. Now, I know everyone and their mom, they want instant results and blah, 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 blah. And Verse making the Pro Bowl as a rookie, even though he only had 4.5 sacks his rookie season. Turner had 3, playing a third of the snaps. But, hey, once Turner, again, give Turner 3 years when he'll be the same age as Jared Verse is now, then let's compare them. Right? So give me 3 full years. Maybe Brian Flores will be around for that long as well as Turner grows into his body, adds good weight, is an NFL strength program, even though Alabama ain't no slouch, but hits his physical peak as well as his football IQ peak, and then just go from there. I think he'll be fine. Yeah, I think he'll be good to go. Just like with McCarthy, too. I mean, Jayden Daniels is a damn dog, and I love him, but he was a 5-year starter. He started 3 years at Arizona State, 2 years at LSU, so that's a ton of experience in high-leverage football. McCarthy came in as a true junior, started for 2 years in Michigan, only lost 1 game, by the way, national title. Woo! Love to see that. So we'll see. But it's so weird what the Rona year as well as the basically NCAA saying whatever. I mean, also with NIL money, players are going to stay in college longer because they can actually make more money in college versus coming on in and potentially making a team, even as a 7th rounder or as a UDFA. It's weird times we live in. Speaking of money, so we've been tracking Spot Rack's market value calculation with Darnold throughout the season. So it started out as 29.5, and then after the Packers game it was up at 55, and then after the Rams game, it dropped back down to 39. Currently, it's settled in at 40.1. So roughly the 4-year, $160 million deal that our guy over at ESPN shouted out yesterday. So is Darnold going to get the de facto Daniel Jones deal? I don't know, right? Well, I know that it likely won't be from the Vikings. I think that I think there's a very minimal chance that the Vikings bring Darnold back on a multi-year deal. Maybe it could be a 1-year deal or a 1 or 2 year prove it type deal. Maybe, right? And that's only if they're not completely sold on J.J. McCarthy, but I think that they are. And I think that this was planned out all along where Kwesi brought in Darnold to be the bridge quarterback, and they got the most out of that, especially with J.J. McCarthy missing his rookie season. But the plan all along was to take your medicine with the dead cap hits in 2024 at $62 million off of the books, and then also you're freed up with all that cap space now, $78 million in 2025. You got McCarthy on his rookie deal for the next 4 years if you include the 5th-year option, even though that's going to be a little bit of cash. And then you just build a bully around him, and then you let McCarthy develop over those next 4 years, and then when it's time to pay him, hopefully he's good enough to support everyone around him who is going to be cheaper. And also you got to get better at drafting Kwesi. Come on. So I think that's still the plan. Now, Darnold, like we said, all season long, I know that people are coming at us like, "Whoa, you're changing your mind, flip-flopping." No, we've literally tried our best to call a spade throughout the year, where when Darnold was playing really good, especially that 7-game stretch before the Lions game at the end, we're like, maybe he's changing calculus. Because if Darnold is going to be a top 5 quarterback in this system with these weapons with Kevin O'Connell, I mean, what more do you want, right? But then that's how bad his Lions and Rams games were, where we're just like, done, out, finito. And I think that's where the Vikings are at as well, right? So maybe they bring Darnold back if the price is right. Like maybe Kwesi it'll be like a lot like the Kirk Cousins situation where Kwesi will put an offer on the table. It's like, this is what we can offer you. If you can find better, God bless you. It's been real. It's been fun. It hasn't been real fun. And then move on, right? I think that's where it's going to be. And also, look at Darnold's next team odds. So Vikings aren't on the board because also I think that the odds are pretty low. But Steelers are right now the leader in the clubhouse at 5-1, so plus 500. Raiders 11-2. The Saints at 6-1. The Giants, the Colts, Jets, Seahawks all in the 650 to 700. And then you got the longer shots, the Browns. They're going to be dealing with cap issues with Deshaun Watson, so that's why that's pretty low. I think that the Browns just take a quarterback at 2 overall. Then you got the Dolphins at 12-1. That would include them moving on from Tua, which would be cap hell of their own. I don't see that. The Titans are also 12-1. They do have the number 1 overall pick, so they'll probably just stick and pick and take a quarterback. Same thing with the Browns at 2. But where do I see value here? So the Steelers might be a little bit too obvious. And also, I don't know how he would mesh with Arthur Smith. I just don't really see it. If they put the Rams on the board, I mean, the Rams probably be a longer shot as well. I think that would be great. Even though he was ass, thank you, against the Rams in the playoffs. We've made this case before. If Stafford retires and if McVay sticks around, you have Darnold, who's found great success in a very similar offense, going from O'Connell to McVay. He's a Southern California kid, a pride of USC. I think that he would rev up the fan base a little bit. I think that they'll forget the playoff game. It's like, no, that's just how good our defense is. The Jets would be hilarious. I don't see it. The Seahawks, I think that they're going to roll with Geno for at least another year and see what happens. The Colts could be intriguing because I don't think that they're sold anymore on Anthony Richardson. So getting a veteran in there could make some sense. The Giants, if the Giants don't maneuver to grab a quarterback, this could make some sense if that's what their plan is. The Saints, depending on Derek Carr's cap hell, and then the Raiders. I honestly could see the Raiders, West Coast, adjacent for Darnold, but I don't really see the Steelers. I would say right now I would wager on the Raiders and the Rams if they're around there. Also, speaking about bringing players back, Aaron Jones, Aaron Jones, so he's going to be 31 late next season. And this year with the Vikings, he was great. He set his career high for rushing yardage, but you could tell when he was fresh, he was great. But then he got dinged up throughout the season. The Vikings used him as a bell cow running back, something that he hasn't done in his NFL career. And towards the end, he was fighting the good fight, except he just wasn't there. And this year he did have 25 runs of 10-plus yards, except most of them were in the first half of the season. He had 5 against the Giants, right? So it is you can make a case that Jones has something left in the tank. I wouldn't mind him being back at a lower rate. He was on a 1-year, $7 million deal with the Vikings this year. SpotRack estimates his market value at 5.6. If we could do it for 4.5, I would consider it. But with the caveat that he knows going in that he's not going to be running back 1. Like, he's going to split time with Cam Akers, who I want back, as well as rookie running back TBD. Like a Caleb Johnson from Iowa is quickly becoming one of my crushes. Same thing with Murray and Hampton. But they're going to be in that weird spot where probably not first round, but high second round, somewhere in there. Also, I do like Ollie Gordon as well. Devin Neal from Kansas, I think could be great in this offense. So the Vikings are going to have options in this draft. So I would bring back Jones because I think that he does have something left. I think he's a great leader in the locker room. I think if he's back next year, he would under consideration to be a team captain. But you're not going to give him as many touches as he did this year. And that was something that I was yelling about throughout the year. Just like, do you want the best of Aaron Jones in October, November, or late December, January, February, right? Because they were just running the piss out of him. Now, I understand that you want to win games and you want your best out there, but at a certain point, I mean, Cam Akers was the better running back for the Vikings at the end of the season, just because Jones was so beat up, and Akers was pretty fresh. And Akers can still do it, by the way. So, I don't know. Like, I would bring him back. Could you do like a $3.5 million deal with a couple million in incentives? Not likely to be earned, so if he hits them, they'll be on the 2026 cap. Don't know. We'll see. Oh, speaking of running backs, yeah, Ashton Jeanty, running back 1 in this class. Vikings fan page. Vikings wide receiver Jordan Addison, some jabroni quarterback who also went to USC and won the Heisman because of Jordan Addison, and Heisman runner-up Ashton Jeanty in Los Angeles, hanging out. Hey, as long as everyone keeps Addison in line this offseason, that's all that I want. Just hang out with good people and just go from there. And I don't, maybe Addison just can't be alone. How about that? How about everyone hangs out with Addison all off season, make sure that he's good to go, serves his suspension, next year, and then we'll just go from there. Talented kid. And hey, I know that Caleb Williams is going to be lobbying for the Bears to draft Ashton Jeanty. I would hate that. I would absolutely hate if Ben Johnson got his mitts on Ashton Jeanty, and if the Bears actually improved their damn offensive line, because that would just be terrible. No good. Also, someone who's going to go a long way to potentially help the Vikings stop the run is Tyler Williams from the Ohio State University. Now, Ohio State just won national championship. Notre Dame could do it for Harrison Smith, but Tyler Williams, he's 6'3", he's 327. He's just a dude in the middle, immovable, can two-gap, great against the run, has untapped potential as a pass rusher, has heart, a little bit inconsistent at times, but I honestly feel like his highs are all-pro potential. Like, we're talking about like Dexter Lawrence adjacent. So I know there's been a couple mock drafts with Williams going to the Vikings. I'm for it. And this is what's great. There's so many great players in this draft at 24 that I would not mind in the slightest. And Williams certainly is one of them. We'll dive in more in depth on him later in the week. But also, hey, since the Ohio State University won the national title this year, and except they lost to Michigan this season, and of course Michigan won last season the college football national title. That means J.J. McCarthy is back-to-back national champ. That's how things work. I love JJ. Just 20 years from now, I just want J.J. McCarthy to recreate this photo, but with Super Bowl rings. Just please, baby, please. We don't ask for much. I just want 8 Super Bowl rings for the Vikings with J.J. McCarthy. Just please, baby. Like, what was it like being a Patriots fan saying like 2000, right? Before they ripped off the first of 6 Super Bowls. What was that like? It's like, Parcells, let him go. We hired stupid ass Belichick. He went 5-11. What are we going to do here? We went to 2 Super Bowls and we got crushed in both of them. Once by the Bears, once by the Packers. Is things ever? At least we got Drew Bledsoe on a $100 million deal. He's got a cannon for an arm. We got Terry Glenn too. Wonder what that was like. Anyways, that's it. Happy Tuesday. You guys are the best. You know what to do. Skull production value.